you guys want to just give a quick little background of yourselves. I see a couple people are muted, Jay and Stefan. You guys don't have to say anything if you don't want, but I will share, and whoever else is welcome to share can share. So my name is Nico Salgado. I am a Spanish teacher by trade, but now a real estate investor. I own one single family rental that is not in the United States of America. It is in Nicaragua. And currently the political situation over there is not safe. So we are not traveling there, and nobody's renting it because it is an Airbnb. And due to COVID, everybody fled. I'm looking now, focusing all my energy on Tampa because my wife has family down there, and I've been there plenty of times, and I know the area fairly well. So now I'm focusing all my energy and time on Tampa. Not because it's the best market, because there are a lot of great markets in the United States, but this one I can safely travel to without causing a big ripple in my family. And that's it. But I do also like Tampa for a lot of reasons. And one of the other reasons is that it is a very stable market. You know, you take a look at a place like Orlando, where a lot of people tend to compare those two markets together, but they're very different. You know, Orlando's got a lot of, the jobs are very different. They're more of the jobs that are getting affected right now from the travel industry and that kind of thing. So where we have giant companies now moving down into Tampa, it is a more stable market, but in that essence as well, you're also going to be finding some lower cap rates, and it's difficult to find excellent deals there. So that's where I'm at, but I'm loving it. I'm having fun. And Mike, I got to talk to you later, you know, because I found another one, and we'll chat about that one. Mike, you want to share?
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Mike from New York. Engineer by school degree, custom woodworker by trade, 22 years. Been investing in real estate since 2005 with a couple condos here, a couple condos there. Decided to go full steam ahead, multifamily 2018. Closed on a 42 unit in Indiana in January of this year. And then I had the pleasure of partnering up with Darren and Greg, who are on this call, on a 49 unit in Johnson City in March of this year. So that's a quick hit about me. So you're muted, Nico.
Greg, my man, are you into sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. Greg Scully, I'm in Johnson City, Tennessee. Just moved down here from Alaska back in November. Yeah, like Mike said, we got the 49 unit here that he's part of. We also have 62 units here in Johnson City, and then 51, 52 just outside of Knoxville. And then we just recently sold what was our first syndication, which was 41 units in Chattanooga. So yeah, I've been full-time about a year, but investing in multifamily since about 2016. Central and Eastern Tennessee, the Carolinas, and where else, Darren? Kentucky. That's the main focus right now.
Awesome. All right. So I see some of you are muted. Some of you don't have your videos, and that's cool too. I welcome everybody here. I want everybody to be here. Larry, I don't know you. Would you like to share?
Sure. How's everybody? My name's Larry Fierro. I'm from upstate New York, live in the Finger Lakes. I have a portfolio of duplexes and triplexes that actually recently allowed me to early retire, which I posted in the Wheelbarrow Profits Facebook group, and it's been working out really well. 2 weeks so far. I have 10 properties that I bought. All 10 of them I purchased owner financing. And what brought me to the Wheelbarrow Profits group was the fact that I saw the opportunity for the economies of scale, and I wanted to get into larger multifamily. So I've been a member of the Jake and Gino community for about 9 months, and have not done my first deal yet, because I was working full time as a general manager for a food company. And then when the pandemic hit, my job got pretty much turned into hyperdrive. And so it was one of those situations where until recently, I haven't had the time to even do any underwriting and things like that. So I've actually joined the underwriting group that you're in, Nico, with the emails and things. I haven't been able to attend any meetings, but I'm planning to recently. And, I'm looking to get into my first multifamily. I'm not afraid of hard work, and that's pretty much everything about me.
Larry, that's cool, man. Welcome to the group, my man. That's awesome. All right, Brandon, you want to rock a little bit?
I didn't know.
You're muted.
There we go. Thank you. Finding a moment to step aside with all the kids. Brandon Margolis, known Nico for a number of years, and been seeing him post some interesting things around and about the Tampa market. I've been looking for investment property opportunities. I have a long background in mortgages. I spent about 10 years, 9 years in the mortgage industry before moving on to insurance. I currently own my own insurance agency, brokerage, and between the two knowledges, to almost 18 years worth of information, I feel like it's time to put it to work for myself. I do a lot of detailed analysis for my clients who have portfolios of properties that they're insuring, sometimes several hundreds of units, and I see what they're doing wrong, and what I do better and what I bring to the table for them. So I just, it just seems the capital is the missing portion, and I've started from the bottom up, and I've been able to make my agency, and I'm at the point where I'm a little more comfortable and finally having, God willing, some extra capital to play with. I'd like to be smart with it and see what we can do. So just interested.
Good, man. I love it. Awesome. That's great. It's funny how many people, so meetups are great. I'll tell you, I did not want to go to my first meetup. I was like, this is weird. This is uncomfortable. I feel awkward, but it opens your mind. It expands your thought process, and it really just opens your network, which is important. So if you have an inkling of feeling that you want to do something like this, you got to just network with people. And this is what this is all about. So this platform here is designed for people to meet each other, talk to people, learn, gain knowledge, gain experience, and hopefully build partnerships and move forward in life. There's no sales pitch or anything here. It's funny. I have so many friends, and I feel like they all think it's like a sales thing. It's not. We're just here to learn. So we have time. Instead of sitting down watching Netflix, let's do this. Let's have some fun together.
Cool.
With that said, I got my man Darren Light in the house. I would like him to, if you don't mind, Mr. D, you can introduce yourself. And then if you wouldn't mind talking about your story, because I do particularly love your journey and hearing your story.
Well, yeah, thanks, Nico, for having me on, and for all these other people that are on as well. I feel privileged just to be on with you guys, because a lot of people that are on here, are partners of mine now, and I highly respect them. And so my story is not that much different than theirs. I can.
Sorry, man.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear what I said to that point?
No, I said, yeah, well, we got you, that you're partners with some of these guys, and then it got cut off.
Yeah, so I was just saying I can make my story a little bit more dramatic by talking about some things, but of what my experience has been through. So I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. I started dabbling in real estate. It'll be 4 years ago this coming August. I went to a guru seminar in Knoxville, Tennessee, where I live. Started buying single family rentals and flipping houses, and actually heard Jake and Gino speak at a regular meetup in Knoxville, but everything they said at the time went over my head, and I didn't understand any of it because I already had my own plan. the fall of 2017, I got a free ticket to go to their first live event in Knoxville. And an hour into that conference, I knew that multifamily was a better way to go just because of the scalability and the ability to attain wealth more quickly. You know, I'm an older guy. I'm not ancient, but I have grown children. So I knew at that point in my life that my W-2 wasn't, nor my 401k was going to afford me the type of retirement that I was after. So I sold off all my single family homes slowly but surely and continued to flip houses. And 4 months into joining the Jake and Gino community, which I did at that event, and actually Greg and I met at that event. So it'll be 3 years ago, I think this coming November, end of October, beginning of November. 4 months into that, I had a property under contract, actually in Johnson City, a 70-unit property. And however, here's the two mistakes that I made, and this is where my story becomes dramatic. So I did not do enough due diligence on the area in a specific half-mile radius of this part of Johnson City. And I also did not have a partner at that time. I basically was like a bull in a china shop. Oh, I'm in the Jake and Gino community, man. I'm gonna be successful. Let's just go do this without a plan, without partnering, without anything. Just to break that story down short, I let that property go after a conversation with a property manager that basically gave me good reasons not to purchase it. They knew the area, they know the area. They're actually our current property managers. And I lost $56,000 in earnest money and threatened to being sued by a broker. So due diligence is a huge lesson there, and partnering is a huge lesson there. 2 or 3 months later, Greg and I are talking about a deal that was brought by another student, and we closed that deal later that year in 2018. So November 2018 till now, we've done 4 deals, been a part of 4 deals that 2 we found and closed on our own, that these last 2, and 2 we were a part of, which was one, the syndication that he mentioned before. So we're actually a part of those same deals now. And we are flipping houses together and actually are actively always looking to continue to flip houses. Flipping houses are fun. It provides you with an opportunity to create capital for just regular living expenses, as well as capital for investing in other projects. And no matter what the market is doing, as we all know, it's a good time to invest in multifamily or flips, as long as you are buying right. 2 years ago, April, I was laid off from my corporate job. So we had just started looking at our first 62-unit property, and I was laid off at that time. And I knew exactly what I was going to do, because it was not a big deal. Cashed in my 401, cashed in my stock options, and threw it all into multifamily and just went after it. And I had been laid off from a job 15 years previously in the same discipline. And at that time, when that first happens to you and you're still in that same mindset of the 401 and doing what, your mom and dad has told you, and doing what the government's told you, and, you'll retire fine, whatnot, live off Social Security. At that time, you're fretting and wondering, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But when it happened to me 2 years ago, I didn't fret. So the one thing it did is that forced me to make decisions that I would have delayed making had I stayed there and been comfortable, continued with the W-2 salary, a 6-figure W-2 salary, and dabbling in multifamily. I would not have been pushed. I would not have been, you better do this. So, and that's me talking to myself, motivating myself, So, but the freedom that came with that, I can't explain. As Larry just spoke about, maybe these weren't the conditions that he considered retiring under, but he's done it. And, when that safety net's gone, you think about it a little bit when it first happens, but not when you have a better plan that will provide a better future for you. And probably the biggest thing that I've learned that I was already really skilled at was networking and connecting with people. but I've just taken it to a different level and realized that it was a sort of a gift that I have. And so I've embraced that and tried to use that to my advantage, as well as, add value to other people. So here we are today. And to your point earlier, what you mentioned is, we're not out. We're not watching Netflix. This is where partnerships occur. This is where ideas happen. This is where, when I get off this call, I want to connect with your buddy Brandon. If he's an insurance broker, man, we need some quotes. I already got the mind turning. So the thing that you realize is, I see Gway hopped on here as well. And these guys you partner with you want them to be of high integrity. And when you found that, that's something that you want to hold on to and not take advantage of. And just make sure that you're giving back a lot more than you're taking. So that's sort of my story. We are in a tertiary market up here in Johnson City, Tennessee, but it's a thriving market. We were fortunate to have property in Knoxville now, and we had the one in Chattanooga. So all of East Tennessee is a great market. But like Greg mentioned earlier, we've looked at properties in Kentucky. We've looked in Clarksville, Tennessee. We're open to Florida. We're open to Tampa. We're open to Orlando. Maybe even the Carolinas as well. So we're currently just continuing to talk to brokers. Brokers are bringing stuff to us, and deal flow, I think with most of you guys, I heard you talking, it's not an issue. It's just finding that next one, or waiting until that seller's ready with all that's going on. So I'll stop because I could go on and on and on, but if anybody wants to ask any questions.
Yeah, I'll start with questions, but if anybody has any questions, type them in the chat box, and you're more than welcome to, I'll see them or whatever, and we'll just let you guys ask. But I want to back up a little bit. So there's a couple of brand new people on here, right? And if, like, talking to them, how can you explain, what kind of a mindset do you need? Because you had a job, you had a W-2, you were earning good money, right? And you said you couldn't make that decision on your own, and most of us can't make that decision. It's a tough decision to make. And for me personally, I had a similar situation where I hit a wall where there was no other option. I had to do something because I got my real estate taxes went through the roof. I almost lost my house, foreclosure. I said I have to do something, and I can't just do transactional, get transactional income like you're saying. Flipping houses is a good means of transaction. It's fun. You get money, you get paid. It's a different tax scenario than investing in real estate. In other ways, like long-term real estate is. Right. So I knew that in the long run, I was going to burn out, man. I picked up all these extra jobs just to make my mortgage payments. I was going to burn out. So I also was in the same boat where it's like I had to do something different, planning for the future. But for those people how do you get that mindset of, like, this is something that I really have to do? Because you're right, it's been beat into our heads since we were young that we really just need to stay the course.
Yeah, so I'll tell you that you generally don't tell this part of the story. I've told it a few times, but 6 months prior to my layoff, I was literally walking around. We had an open cubicle environment, and I would literally walk around the office, and something was just talking to me. I believe in higher power, and I believe the higher power was saying, look around. And I would look around, and I would see people staring at their monitors, myself included. It's like myself looking over me, and like you're doing the same thing as other people are. And I'm like, the thought occurred to me, you are a slave to this monitor, this company, whatever your discipline is, and you're making one person rich. Which, by the way, that person just sold his shares of that company to a New York firm as if he wasn't already wealthy enough. But hey, he made it on his own for a local company. So, so I say that to say I could see where, looking back now, even though it wasn't my decision, it was becoming a pain point for me. And so I know there's a book that mentions this, but Gino Barbaro, which some of you know, and is coaches and mentors of ours, he talks about moving away from your pain point. So if that W-2 is more of a pain point than it is a security blanket, you've got to move away from that, because I already have an opportunity to speak with other people that are new as students with the Jake and Gino community, and I can hear the pain in their voice, and I can hear their hesitation, and I don't know if I can do that, or, it's everything. The stars have to align. The stars will never align. It will never be the perfect time. You can never be fully prepared to leave your job. You can never be fully prepared to buy your first multifamily asset. You have to, this is Darren's opinion, you have to absolutely 100% without a doubt have a ready, fire, aim approach. It's got to be 1-2. It cannot be ready, aim, fire. Okay, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? No, it cannot. So if you're stuck in a W-2 but yet you want to invest in multifamily, you've got to find a balance. Financially, I know it's the big thing for most people. It's financially, you've got to find a balance of, you don't have to have 100 grand laying around. Maybe you've got 25 grand laying around that you can get in someone's deal, or you can find your own deal, but you can add value some other way, not just with money, because there's a lot of people that have money, and money is, I can say this now, money is easy to find. And the way you find it is getting on a call like this right here with a group of people, and finding out people who you have like-minded goals with and drive, and then going and making some stuff happen. So if it's a financial concern, okay, well, you know what? You bust your tail for 6 months to put away 6 months worth of expenses, or however long that takes. I'm just giving you a possible scenario. You put however many months of living expenses in an account, you don't touch it, you sacrifice to get to that point. Because here's the thing, this is it. You have one of these, of us. You got one life, you got one. If you don't do it now, when? There's no perfect time. So if it's that financial burden, bust your tail, sacrifice, whatever that is, whether that's the way you eat, the things you do, the stuff you buy, sell a car, sell a house, go live cheaply, and then put that enough money away so that you can quit your job, and then go talk to people like Jay Helms, that have had a podcast and a whole platform about being the W-2 capitalist. He finally quit his job. It's some guys on here, Waith, Mike, or Greg, you guys might know how long he's been doing his W-2 and investing in multifamily. I don't know, but I know it's been a while, but he made it work, and now he finally made the break. So it's, if you don't do it now, or if you don't have a plan to do it financially to make the jump, when are you going to do it? It's got to be a pain point. So and I promise you, if you take that approach of ready, fire, and you get uncomfortable, that's how you'll make those tough decisions. You have to get uncomfortable to make that decision. We talk about it all the time in this kind of industry, if you will, or business or entrepreneurship, of getting uncomfortable. You have to be, you got to get comfortable at being uncomfortable. You hear other people say that, but that's a long answer. I'm very motivated, and I know I talk fast a lot of times when I get fired up and kind of get going. So for me, as soon as it happened, I was like, yeah. And I'll just go ahead and be totally transparent. Annually, I'm not making six figures, but I have $10 million worth of real estate under my belt in some capacity, and I'm working my way up to what my number is to be able to financially not have to worry about anything anymore. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop working. So I hope that makes sense to everybody.
It's interesting. I mean, this is a lot of people get into the game thinking that, hey, we're gonna be rich. We're gonna be rich right away. It's passive income. It is not passive. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be working, right? And it takes time, but it's a different type of a wealth. Like I was talking about before, it's not a transactional wealth where you're gonna be paying half of it in taxes. This is something that's going to be generating wealth for you and your family forever. So the multifamily game is a different type of a game. And there's different strategies, and you use, like you, Darren, you use the flipping, people use wholesaling, flipping, people do, the bird strategy, and there's different strategies, and you should have those tools in your toolkit. But, for building long-term generational wealth, I mean, I think we're all here because multifamily is it, you know?
Exactly. You're not going to get rich quick. It takes work. It takes freaking hard work. If you choose to invest in an education platform, or if you don't, but by the time you set your mind to, hey, this is what I want to do, it took me 1 year to be a general partner in a 62 unit property. It took 1 year from the time I decided I was going to do this. It took 1 year until we closed that first deal. So that's just giving an example, you know, and you know Jake and Gino's story. It took them 18 months. If you want to, I know I refer to them a lot, but they're good people to refer to. So it does take work. And I'll say this, the one thing I've learned is there's two types of people that want to get involved in multifamily. There is the person that wants to go find the deal, be brought the deal, work with a broker. They want to find the money. They want to find the lender. They want to get the insurance quote. They want to know what they're going to do with CapEx. They want to find the property manager. They want to do it all. They want to bring a deal together, right? That's a crap ton of work. All right, there's that person, and they want to do it over and over and over. Great. There's the other person that wants to have enough education to be able to learn to speak the lingo when they're talking to other people that are doing what I just described, but yet they have capital. And all they want to do basically is hand them their capital and let the other person make it work for them. Those are the two kinds of people that I think exist and what I've seen throughout the journey. And there's nothing wrong with being either one of those. So when you partner, you know, you've got to know what that other person wants or what they can bring, what's the value they can bring. You know, for example, Greg is my main partner, and he's incredible at underwriting. And he's pretty much like this all the time. I go like this. This is me. And he's very analytical, and I'm more of the relationship guy. However, he has grown in that respect, and he will tell you that since he has been a full-time investor, and that's helped him tremendously. But we don't work on our weaknesses. We put our strengths together and make a great team. And so I'm decent at underwriting, but I always have to have him look at it. And what takes me an hour, he can do in 5 minutes. And so why waste 55 minutes, you know? So the partners, it all goes back to the partnership thing. And when you have meetings like this, or you have in-person meetings, especially, that's when you can find, you know, someone that you could probably be a partner with for life.
Awesome, man. I love it. You know, I think, yeah, Greg typed in something pretty good in the chat box. He says, maybe you have less income, you know, but as a full-time real estate professional, you keep much more of it. So you're in a different, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see, let me figure this out real quick. Let me run a calculation real quick. I'll tell you something. My share of my share of the loss of the cost segregation study we did on the 62 unit property from 2018 alone, we only owned it a month and a half at that point, was $62,000. So I paid zero taxes in 2018. I would have paid tax. So yeah, that's just one example.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, there's so many benefits to multifamily. So there are some green people here, and there's some professionals in here, and then there's some people in between. And I kind of want to, you know, hit on, I might pick on you, Mike. So Mike he's on his way to like, his goals, you know, getting out of the rat race too. He's got his own business, but he's looking to get out of it, as, you know, I think most of us are at some point. Mike, how close are you, if you don't mind answering that?
Strictly talking just on the real estate stuff. If things continue the way they kind of have been, I'd say about 2-3 years. With that being said, we're kind of entertaining offers to sell our warehouse now, which if that happens, even throwing that amount into a average deal, I wouldn't need to work at all. I could do this full time. So it really, kind of depends on, you know, which way we look at it. I mean, I think we're closing the business by the end of this year, if not sooner. You know, starting to entertain some offers on the warehouse. And if we can do that and 1031 that money into some other deals that even at 4 or 5% only, we'll be okay. If obviously, if there's more than that, which is what we're expecting or hoping for, then it'll be kind of, you know, just, you know, gravy on the top. So.
Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing. You know, going back to Darren, because this all kind of ties in together. So like Mike's got a family, you know, I have a family, and Darren, when you lost your job, you had a family, you know, so there's also that pressure there and you know, there's a couple of younger guys on here where they don't have that pressure yet. But for us, you know, this is serious pressure. And I feel like once the mindset changes where you think, I can't do this W-2 anymore, you're already stuck because you have a family and people depending on you and you have a secure job. So to switch out of that is not easy, right?
Yeah, I get that, especially my kids were older. My son was still in high school. My daughter was about to graduate with her bachelor's. So not as dependent on me financially. Fortunately, they've gotten great scholarships for college, but true, they're still dependent on you to some degree. So yeah, I get that. And if that's goes back to, you know, can you create that little short-term nest egg? But, you know, there's also the belief that if your W-2 is the true pain point, and you can talk about hours in the day, and, you know, there's some books out there, you know, that talk about the, I can't think of them off the top of my head, something like the 8-hour work week or something like that. If you guys know who I'm talking about, the author. So you've got to put a plan in place that's like you're using every waking moment to be able to start to invest. And like I said, you don't have to have a lot of money to be able to do that, but you've got to network and you've got to create some great relationships to where maybe one of your partners does have the capital and you're getting in on the deal because you can underwrite it great, or you're providing some risk capital or whatever the case may be. Yeah, so it just depends on how painful that is. You may want to, I'm going to put Greg on the spot because Greg left his W-2 a year ago, February, and he was already passively invested in a couple of multifamily projects as well as on some single family rentals. So he might be able to shed some more light on mindset and what was going on in his mind, because he's got college aged girls as well. So there you go, partner.
Well, mindset wise, well, I just wanted to get out of my job. I just hated my job. We were very specific about what we wanted to do as a family. We wanted to have one parent stay at home and the other one work. And, you know, after 20 years, we had accomplished that goal, and I was more than ready to do something else. So, I mean, there's ways to get out. I mean, I did every financial trick there was. You know, we refied the house. I cashed in my pension. Which was an option with my corporate job. And then we did a ROBS plan, it's what it's called, a rollover for business startup, which is a way to use your 401k and avoid the taxes and penalties on it by starting a C Corp and being able to invest with that money directly, and then basically just paying ourselves out of that corporation. So that's how we got that money into our personal economy. Now, you just find a way, you know, and for us, the transition was possible because we were a single income family for so long, and then with the girls being older, Kim went back to work and got a full-time job, and so we had a transition where she took over the main breadwinning role, and then that's when I went full-time, and then we both went full-time when we decided to move down to Tennessee. And that was more wing and a prayer type stuff than it probably could have been, because we had some runway. We're like, well, let's just do this. You know, our knees still work and our brains still work. Let's just, you know, take the opportunity now. So I don't know. Yeah, it takes a while to change your mindset because it is so dramatically different. Just I guess the only way that you can really, that I found is accelerating it is things like this. Is just getting in a room with other people that are doing the same thing, or I've, you know, have found a solution. Yeah, there's another partner of ours that he blew up his 401k completely. He looks like a genius because he did it in January. And, you know, and that's one of those things where, yeah, he had this amazing spreadsheet of how this was all going to work out and everything. And then, you know, just in hindsight, if he hadn't done that, you know, his retirement plan picture, although it's come back quite a bit now, would have looked significantly different, you know, given what's happened with COVID and everything. So I don't know. You just got to make a decision and live with it. That's really what it comes down to.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Guys, I have like a million questions right now, but I kind of, if anybody else has a question, please.
Let me say one more thing. I could probably name 10 people that I either already know or have met since I started investing in multifamily that have just picked up and moved their family from one part of the country to the next because of the cost of living where they are and their quality of life. And, you know, you can talk to some of those people. Some of those are our partners. And, you know, Mike's in New York, but Mike has but Mike's been there and he has a great opportunity to make money on this building and some other things. So it's different in his situation, but, you know, I could see someone like that, you know, being able, maybe possibly wanting to move to the southeastern part of the U.S. where the market's still great in a lot of places in the future. If
it was up to me, I'd be next door to you, my man.
Yeah, there's two. That's right. Hey, and I get that. I totally get that. So, and that's you'll hear a lot of people, and we've talked about this too, is, you know, invest in a place that you may want to move to one day. And I mean, heck, I could live in Tampa. Wouldn't hurt my feelings getting in a big deal in Tampa. But you know, we've got a couple partners that have moved, like the one that Greg just mentioned blew up his 401. He moved from New York to South Carolina, and we've got another partner that moved from New York to Tennessee and specifically Knoxville, just to invest and live. So you've got to do something crazy, man. It could be something like that. Put it on paper. You know, if you're not tied to family, or if you're not in Mike's situation where his wife really wants to be there, and you know that's what it is, you do the best you can. Put it on paper. What's the cost of moving to another city? Pick 10 of them. That's what one of our other partners did, Jake Stanziano. That's how he ended up in Knoxville. That's how Jake and Gino ended up investing in Knoxville. He didn't move to Knoxville to invest. He moved to Knoxville just to live, and then realized, oh my gosh, this opportunity down here is incredible. And that's how they ended up with 900 or some doors just in that state alone. That's just an example, but it may take something crazy like that to help you change and realize there's better opportunities in other places.
Awesome. Yeah, and you know what? It also comes down to having and sharing that common vision. So Greg shared it with his wife, and they had the same vision. And if she wasn't necessarily on board, you know, she picked up that extra income, and that's huge, you know.
Yeah, and since you brought up Kim, is her name, I'll just give huge kudos to her because she is just as much a part of our business as he is. She does all kinds of things behind the scenes that nobody knows about, nobody ever hears about. So yeah, they're all in. They love the area. They love having the freedom. They may not stay here. They may just want to go somewhere else for another year, you know, but that's what this lifestyle eventually can afford you. That's what you're after.
Awesome. So like, why not single? So a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, oh, I'm going to get into a single family, or I'm going to get into a duplex because it's cheaper, you know? And I remember when we spoke a while ago, you were like, no, man, go big. I was like, go big? You scared me. You're like, go, You don't even look at the 20 unit. You told me, like, go big, man. I was like, all right, I'm going to look at them.
Yeah, I did say that initially. There's 2 new students in the Jake and Gino community. They've been in the community about 3 months. They're looking at a 421 unit because they called me one day. They already owned a 20 unit, but they called me one day and they said, we want you to tell us that that we're crazy. And I said, why? And they told me, and I said, no, you're not crazy. I said, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, or you end up with it. It's one of the two. I said, just go after it. You don't have to go that big. There's nothing wrong with getting a 20 unit right out of the gate or even a 10 unit. You have to do what's comfortable. But just from my experience, personally, you're wasting your time with single family, even if it is cheaper. Go find a partner to do a 10 unit with if you can't take down a 10 unit by yourself. Go find a partner. Promise you, on money side and return side, you'll be much better off. Expenses will be less per unit. All of the above.
Right. Yeah, you buy 10 things. If you're buying it in bulk, you get it cheaper. You know.
Yeah. Single family is still transactional.
But then yeah, exactly. But then the limiting beliefs come up, and people are like, well, I don't have enough money to get in. So then you're talking about providing value in other ways through being, being educated and giving whatever you have to give to a partnership. And I think that's important too. And a lot of people are still trying to find their place in a partnership, me included. And I end up trying to do everything. So I'm trying to underwrite, I'm trying to advertise, I'm trying to build the business from the ground up. Whereas, because it's also difficult to let go of that, of all that control that you have and give it to somebody and trust in somebody else.
Yeah, I totally get that, but you have to. And when you find that partner that you feel comfortable with, you've got to know what you do and that person does great, and just take those roles on. So, yeah, I could go on and on about how what Greg does and what I do as far as the way we benefit each other from a partnership standpoint. But always willing to pitch in and help out no matter what's going on. Just the fact that his wife, Kim, now is running our meetup as far as scheduling, getting guests, scheduling the current Zoom calls, scheduling them out 2 and 3 months, did it on Facebook, did it on meetup.com. Man, do you know what a relief? That sounds like nothing, but let me tell you, if you're doing it right, that's a lot of work. And that was such a relief to me. She's like, hey, do you want me to? And I'm like, absolutely. Yeah. Take it away. I don't just, when's the next meeting? I'll be there. So just little things like that. Underwriting for someone else, scouring cities for deals for someone else, trying to go direct to seller, helping run someone's direct mail campaign. You may not be financing it, but maybe you're taking calls, maybe you're calling the owner, whatever. There's something else that you can do as well. Yeah, you just got to find that partner that you can gel with and add value to.
You also mentioned, which I also like, and I want to touch upon, is you mentioned, you find somebody with money, and it kind of sounds from some people, maybe an outsider, like, oh, well, you're just going to take somebody's money, but no, there is a serious win-win there, right?
As you create relationships and as you mold those relationships, as that person realizes that you're genuine, you're of integrity, you're honest, you can be trusted. When you do that, at some point, whether you ask this person or not, that person, if they've got capital for whatever reason, maybe you asked, I doubt it, but at some point, the person's going to reveal to you how much capital they have. They see what you're doing, they realize your strengths that they don't have, and then they realize that you could be an asset to what their goals are financially. So they'll end up sharing with you. Now, once you keep doing that multiple times, and once you have found a property that you closed and found another one and found another one, and you're just being genuine and you're very transparent about your mistakes and how you've learned from them, just meaning, what's the word I'm looking for? Vulnerable. You make yourself vulnerable. I do that a lot. Sometimes I do it to a fault, just to be honest. But the point of that is that most people think you can be trusted. And I think Greg and I talk about this. At some point, when people know of your success, but they also know you're humble about it. You try to be humble and you want to add value to others, especially new investors, but they know what you're doing. They tell you how much money they have or capital they want to invest or contribute. You don't have to ask. And that's hard for people to get their mind wrapped around. But, you know, like Greg's worked diligently on a website that we have called Real Wealth Solutions. He's put all this together. We've got a credibility book together. And it's one of those things that you can pull up. You know, if everybody wants to at the end of this meeting, realwealth.solutions. And if you want to invest with us, you can set up an account, you get on a call with Greg, go through some questions. And so you want that platform, but you know, people gravitate towards that stuff that want to invest and seeing people be successful. Success leaves clues, right? So that's what people see and they follow. So at some point, you're not asking for money, and it's just hard to get your mind around that. You sort of, people let you know how much they have.
Awesome. I got a million questions, guys. Don't make me ask. Anybody else want to talk?
Hey, Darren.
Hey, Joseph.
Hey, hi. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, good. I had a quick question. So when you started having the partners in the beginning, maybe in the beginning years ago, did you have a third person who like could kind of give you an advice as to like what shares or what kind of functions you guys should do, and what is a fair amount of share? It depends on what you do, things like that, or it was just between you and partners?
Do you mean in reference to how an operating agreement is structured?
Structuring the partnerships.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think that as 6, 7, or 8 of us were forming our first partnership to buy our first 62 unit property, I don't think structure was at the top of our list as we started to talk. But then at some point before we closed the deal and probably got it under contract, that became more purposeful and more intent on what that looked like. So I guess my point is, after the first one, it's sort of like, oh man, maybe we would have done that a little bit differently if this or if that. And they're structured many different ways. So I have passed on partnerships strictly due to structure. I've passed on partnership opportunities strictly due to what they were offering, and I wasn't interested in negotiating with them. So yeah, some people will lose on opportunity to purchase a property because they're so staunch in what they want as part of the structure. And I'm sort of saying from a selfish standpoint and not understanding, you know, a little piece of the pie with a lot of deals to me is better than just, you got to have this certain amount with every deal you do. I don't think you can have that mindset personally. So I don't know if I answered your question. We've learned it as we have gone along. Mm-hmm. And it's been different in almost every deal. Greg made.
Well, I was going to say, you mind if I chime in a little bit?
No, go ahead.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Whatever the partnership is, bring it up early. I mean, we've done that, not as a mistake or anything, but you know, the details of it weren't really discussed until we were well into a deal. And when it was discussed, we realized that not everything was, you know, congruent, I guess, and it all got figured out and everybody went happy in a way. So, you know, just the transparency of what the expectations are. I mean, me personally, you know, I think, you know, when risk money is at stake, you know, I probably tend to overcomplicate this part of it. Because we have seen things where if you've got 4 people, they might just all be 25% in at equal shares, and you know, life goes on. But you know, when there's money at risk, I think that deserves some extra reward. I think boots on the ground definitely deserves some extra reward. And then usually the boots on the ground also goes with whoever is closest to it and is operating it. usually deserves some extra reward. And then the rest of it, can be, it's all negotiable. Like if you have a key principal or something, they might get something. If you have some people that are bringing the bulk of the balance sheet, they might get a little extra something. But just talk about it early and write it down. There's definitely no formula to it. It's
Cool.
all over the place.
Thank you for both.
I think his biggest point is talk about it early.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
then if you want to have a talk offline, yes, if we can talk about actual structure, because Greg and one of our other partners created this equity split calculator, which is pretty cool, which I know I owe you something as well that you asked me for. So I'll get that to you. I should send that tonight.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool, thank you.
Me personally, I just been in this 2 years full time ish, a little bit more, and just multifamily alone. I'm just gonna be blunt. You can spot a selfish person pretty quickly, and so when you spot that selfish person, you're out. It's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You want to overanalyze it, and you're like, oh man, but this would be such a good deal. No, don't waste your time. Just move on. Next one or next partner, whatever it is.
Cool. Okay.
Everybody talks about that, partnership is a marriage, you're really getting in, you really got to be careful,
You do. And I will say that sometimes even with the best vetting efforts, sometimes things happen down the road that are unexpected. And when they do, you have to deal with it. It's hard, but you have to deal with it. And you just deal with it and move on. And at the end of the day, we're all people. And, we've been through that. So, you can't always foresee what could happen to a partnership in the future. And that's another thing of, oh my gosh, then how am I going to know who to partner with? Well, you know what? Hopefully you're hitting 9 out of 10 and you're good. But I'm just throwing it out there as at some point it will probably happen.
Yeah, I think meeting a good partner is a blessing.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Awesome. Kind of want to get we could wrap it up. I have a million questions, but anyway. So you said it took you a year to find your first multifamily, Darren?
It took me 4 months to find my first one that I should have never got under contract. But I give myself credit on finding it. And I actually did have one partner on board at the time. But it took my partners and myself a year from the time I joined the Jake and Gino community until we closed on our first property. So if you want to say year's a good timeline.
Yeah, it takes time. That's really what I've been told, and I'm finding it out too. I spent literally 6 months networking, and I'm finally getting traction. It really takes. You don't think that it does, but it takes a lot of networking, a lot of talking to brokers.
It does. So to your credit, at some point, you made a decision, and you had a bump in the road, but you made another decision. And you said, I'm going to put myself out there. Right?
That's right, man.
So you've got the podcast, you've got this, I don't know what else. You've got Instagram. We'll talk about that offline. And, you've already been to Tampa 2 or 3 times. I don't know how many times, maybe more than that. And I'll give you some satisfaction in the fact that people in our space know who you are and know what you're doing and speak highly of what you're doing and like it. So keep doing what you're doing, because a lot of times when you're doing stuff like what you're doing, or if we go look at a deal and we get it under contract but it doesn't work out, we're like, man, that was a waste of time. No, it is not. Those are wins. And you have to realize that is part of the process. And I preach about embracing the process, because you cannot be emotionally tied to the end, to the goal. Because you're going to do the goal over and over and over, but you're going to do the process many, many, many more times to hit however many goals you do of acquiring a property. And that's the part that you have to enjoy. Case in point, I'll just go ahead and share this. When we closed the 62 unit in Johnson City, we did it at a title company in Knoxville. Well, Josh Rusin had he been on? Yeah, he had been on board almost a year at that point. And he and I were just talking, getting to know each other and whatnot. He's like, hey man, how'd the closing go? Great. And one of the partners was in town with me closing the deal. And he said, what are you doing? I said, well, we just walked out of the title company. He's like, hey, come hang out. I'm like, where are you at? He's like, we're at Jake's house, right? Well, I happen to know where Jake lives because another friend of mine lives in the same subdivision. And I'm like, you sure it's okay? And he's like, yeah. So we go over there, and here I am standing in my coaches and mentors driveway, Jake. And actually, Gino was there, and Dylan Marma was there, and Josh was there, and a couple more people I can't remember. Uncle Sean was there. We call him Uncle Sean. And I got extremely emotional because in that moment, I'm standing in front of them, and that happened to me. But that's me. That's my makeup. I'm an emotional dude. So I got extremely emotional, and they saw it, and they asked me if I was okay. And I'm like, yeah. I said, and I just said to them what I just did to you. And it was a really cool moment. And then Greg and I closed on our fourth deal 2 months ago, and we're like, all right, let's go do this again. So my point is the process. You have to just love everything about it. When you go out and you're second in a call to offers, man, that happened to us last summer. I was like, because it was the first one we went and got on our own. I was like, yeah. Now, we ended up not getting it, but we learned a ton and created an incredible relationship with the broker all along the way. So
That's
you
great.
never know where another opportunity is going to pop up by what you're going through during the process.
Awesome, Darren. You are the man. Thank you so much. Darren, can you do me a favor and just type into the chat box how people can reach out to you if they want, or Greg, you can do it. And I'm gonna share my screen right now, unless anybody has any questions. All right, I'm gonna share my screen, and I have a little giveaway that I promised. Guys, some of you know that I own a wood shop. I make wood stuff. I have a little cutting board that I'm gonna give away. I put little rubber feet on it, and it's good for chopping sandwiches, limes, lemons, stuff like that. So I'm gonna pull up my little, I'll share my screen and pull up my little thing.
Handmade.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yes.
Who's gonna get it. Well, let me talk a little bit more first, I guess. It really comes down to, let's share this. We all have a choice, right? We all can choose to be sad, or we can choose to be upset, during this COVID, or we can choose whatever. But we're all choosing to be here right now and just to expand. And it's for some people, it's definitely uncomfortable. So Darren, to your point earlier, people are here because and they're uncomfortable, but they really want to learn. So this is their way in. So let's do it. Who's going to win this thing?
Awesome. That's really cool. That's spin that wheel.
Well, Larry.
Oh, are you sure your daughter's going to let you give that away?
Good deal, man.
Woo.
Awesome, my man, Larry. Cool, man. And it's my first time meeting you too. So I'm pretty happy that you won.
Nice.
If you don't mind just typing in or maybe texting me I guess you can just email me or text me your address and I'll send it to you, my man.
Yeah, not a problem.
I just want to say to the people that I see some names on here that I've seen from in the Jake and Gino community, maybe in multifamily investing, that I don't know, but I would love to connect. So anybody that wants to reach out to me and just chat, please do. Was it Brandon that's the insurance broker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to connect with him and see if he would be able to do something for our Tennessee properties. At least,
I'm sitting here trying to, thank you. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to access the chat because I'm on my phone. Looking through it, but I picked up some great stuff here. I have 401k that I left from my old job, and I heard, excuse me, your partner
Greg.
there. I don't want to be rude. That Rob's.
Greg eats
awesome.
that stuff up, man. He knows all that stuff. He's
Yeah, I mean, if I said something that you want to follow up on, I got to be more like Darren and network a little bit more. So I'm actually trying to be very intentional about getting more active in the community. Just reach out, DM me on Facebook or something. I'm an open book when it comes to this stuff. Whatever I got, you're welcome to it. Just let me know.
I'm gonna get Darren's info from Nico. I will be in touch because I just can't get enough.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No problem whatsoever.
Thank you.
So, Nico, I'll give you one more kudos, dude.
Hit me.
Just those boards that you've created and made for certain people, dude, that is phenomenal. So you're seriously not just the craftsmanship and the awesomeness of the product, but that's one thing. But you, when you do that, you're adding value to other people, man, showing your appreciation. So just keep doing it, man. I cannot say enough. Just keep doing what you're doing. So
thank you, man. I tell you what, it's like I don't have money to give necessarily, and some people on this call don't either. But you can do. People appreciate things,
Yep.
And I put passion and love into things, and people, appreciate. And I feel when people do it for me. So
they remember how you made them feel, right? More than they remember what you said.
That's right. All right, guys. Everybody, thank you so much. We'll be in touch about the next meeting. It's probably going to be in a couple of weeks from now. And my man Yosef is most likely going to hop on. We're probably going to do it together from now on, but we will share this information shortly. Larry, the winner, my man, I will send you that cutting board. You're going to enjoy that. And I want to connect with you too, man. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Just make sure that I'm not on your daughter's bad list because I saw she definitely wanted to keep that. I'm not sure how you got it out of her hands.
I have like 4 of them. That's why she's got the other one.
Oh, all right. Nice. All right. So I'm not on anybody's bucket list.
No,
all right. Cool.
Good. All right, guys. Awesome night. Rock and roll. Let's keep hustling.
Thanks, guys.
Nice chatting with
Nico.
everybody. Take
Nice
care.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Guys, thank
Good job,
you,
Nico.
Thank you,
See you,
Greg.
brother.
I guess.
All right, guys.